Hey, what's up everybody? It's Bobby with Tech360.tv and I'm back from my trip. If you've been following me on Instagram at Tonelli, you probably noticed I was in Portugal and I was in Spain for about 11, 12 days. And I was there on a personal holiday, but at the same time I was doing some work for you. Because I thought to myself, what better way to review a camera than to take it with, but what better way than to review a camera? Yeah, what better way, blah, blah, blah. Okay. And I thought, what better way to do it than to take it with me and shoot like how a lot of us do when we go when we travel. That's how we shoot, right? We take our cameras, we want to share photos that we've taken on holidays with our friends, our family on social media and so forth. So that's kind of what I've done. And I was very fortunate enough, thanks to Leica Singapore, to take the Leica CL. Now, we actually did a hands-on impression of the CL when it first was launched. You can actually, we'll put a link to that video in the description below. I wanted to revisit the CL because it's a very formidable camera by Leica, and wanted to see how good the system is to actually take with you on a trip. Is it a camera that's got more hype to it than actual usability? I want to find all these things out. So I thought, let's do it. First off, I have the CL with me here with the 23 f2 TL Summicron. Love this lens. Well, I'll get into all the lenses in just a bit, but I'm just going to give you a highlight of what they have, what they gave me. This is the Vario Elmar 3.5 to 5.6, 18 to 56. Yes, I needed to look at the numbers because there's a lot of numbers on that one. Arguably my favorite lens of the TL lineup and the CL is the 35-1.4 Summilux. Love this lens, and I'll tell you why later on. And because I've always wanted to try M lenses adapted to the CL or the TL2, Leica provided me the 50 f2 Summicron M lens with the M adapter. Leica Singapore, thank you very much for that. Okay, let's talk a little bit about the camera. We'll talk about how it's like to use it on the trip, the lenses, image quality, all that fun stuff. Here we go. CL. This has a more of an M body feel to it, smaller than the M, more compact. APS-C 24 megapixel sensor, Maestro 2 processor, ISO 100 up to 50,000. Touchscreen on the back, it doesn't articulate. Customizable buttons and dials. That's the CL. Okay, but talking about a little bit of the history of the CL for a moment. Now the CL, if you look at some of the marketing material, they talk about Oscar Barnick, they show images of the Leica 3A way back when. The CL has some of that DNA, of that small compact camera to it, but it also shares some of the DNA from the Leica CL the 70s, which Leica did a collaboration with Minolta back in the day, which ran for a few years, and it was a somewhat successful camera for them. Anyway, this CL has some of that DNA, but it brings a lot more of the technology that we want to see in cameras for today's usage. This is a very compact camera to take with you. It has heft to it because it has great build quality, but it is a much more, I would say, travel-friendly camera than the M or the SL, of course, because the SL is a big camera. And the reason I say this is because it's light enough to where you can pop it over your shoulder, and it's pretty much, it gets out of your way. I mean, you can do this with the M as well, but the M has got heft to it because it's obviously a much heavier body. This is pretty light, especially when you pair it with the right lenses. It's fantastic. You're going to notice one thing with the image quality out of the CL. It's good. The image quality is good. And arguably, can I say that? Arguably, it will rival the M in a lot of ways, in the sense that you could put two images together and you might not notice the difference to the average user, especially if you're uploading to social media. You won't really notice. The only time you'll really notice it as a user is shooting in lower light situations. Even though the ISO numbers are the same, APS-C is a much smaller sensor than full frame, so you're going to notice a difference in low light. But overall, image quality is really, really good. What else? Let's talk about lenses for a moment, because this is where you kind of get into the CL and you get a sense of it. Now, for me, when I went on my trip, I thought to myself, I said, you know, I don't have the luxury of going back to the hotel and bringing all the lenses, changing lenses throughout the day and doing all this stuff. I mean, that's not the way you want to travel, right? You want to see the world, you want to experience it, you want to drink a lot of great wine and have food and coffee and snap photos of what you see around you. So you might be able to bring one or two lenses with you and that's it. And that's what I did. So I will say, street-friendly wise, because of the focal length, the 23 f2 is one of my favorite lenses. 23mm on APS-C is equivalent to 35mm, thereabouts. And the f2 is fast enough to where you can get some decent low light shots out of this without sacrificing a lot of, pushing up the ISO too much. It's a Summicron, sharp image, decent dynamic range, great color rendition. You're not gonna go wrong with the 23. I think it's a great street lens. Now we go on to the lens, which is my least favorite, is the Vario Elmar 1856 3.5 to 5.6. Now this is a zoom lens. It covers all the focal lengths. You're like, Bobby, it's great for travel, right? I mean, you got all your focal lengths. Yes and no. While you have all the focal lengths, it's a much slower lens. And I found myself looking at the image quality and noticing that doesn't have that pop. The images were a little bit flatter. Again, I'm shooting raw with all of it, but I did notice a difference from the 23 to the 35 to this lens, that the image quality wasn't quite there. And I thought the lens was a little bit slower in terms of its focusing. And in low light, this is not a low light lens. You're gonna be hurting in low light with this. So I didn't really use this lens that much. Now we move on to one of my favorite lenses, arguably. Good lenses is like, it's like, I don't know. When you love photography, a good lens, when you shoot with a good lens, there's this satisfaction you get out of photography that's really different. The 35-1.4 Summilux gave me that satisfaction. This is the biggest lens, out of all of them. 1856-35, this is the big lens here. It's a heavy lens, but damn, it's a good lens. Now, some will consider this to be a reference lens in the TL-L mount range, sort of. It's really a sharp, great color accuracy, nil chromatic aberration. I really didn't see it. Beautiful bokeh, stunning separation, great portraiture lens, great street lens. It's a hell of a lens. It adds weight to the CL. Does make it a little bit of top heavy because it's, in terms of its size, it's a little bit different. I'll actually show it to you right now. Let me take that off and pop this on here. See, so it adds a little bit, in terms of its ergonomics, it does make it a little bit more top heavy. I don't have the lens hood on it because that makes it even longer, but it's so nice. It's so nice to use. However, as I mentioned earlier, I wanted to try the CL with M lenses. I've always wanted to try this, even when I did the review on the TL2 and the CL hands-on before that. Leica didn't have that adapter for me at the time. So I was lucky enough to get it for this trip. It's a hell of a kit. You could arguably call this a little bit of camera porn. Look at this. This is nice. Now, I got the silver adapter. It does come in a black adapter. Leica was sold out. They didn't have any available, so I had the silver adapter on it. Give it a little more of that panda look, but nonetheless, it works. First off, you'll see, just in terms of its ergonomics, this fits beautifully. This adapter adds a little bit of girth to it, but not a lot. You're not gonna miss anything. Now, what this adapter does is a couple things. First off, since these lenses are 6-bit encoded, it actually reads the lens information, puts it into the camera. So as soon as you turn it on, it'll say, is this the lens that you're using? You select yes, and then you're good to go. Now, M lenses are always arguably some of the best optically made lenses in the world. And while the TL lenses are really good, you could say the M lenses are better. So I decided I wanted to really try this package, and for a couple times, actually one day in particular, I was in Barcelona. I decided to use the M lens exclusively for that day. Nothing else, M lens, manual focus, CL, let's do it. The first thing you're gonna notice is on a 50mm, you jump up to about an 80-85, so that throws you off a little bit. So you're kind of like, okay, I gotta readjust everything. Now, I was playing around with the camera because I was finding initially that when I was using focus peaking, while everything was red, I take the shot, the picture wasn't really sharp. So I thought, okay, let's reduce the focus peaking to like medium or to low, make sure that when it's red, I'm gonna get it in focus. And I was still coming up with the same thing. So then I changed the diopter on this and I was adjusting it to see me because I have to wear glasses, so maybe changing that. And I was still not getting my shots 100% sharp. When they were sharp, beautiful. The M lenses really show their glory in this, and they really, is it a big difference? No, like when you look, even when you show this on this YouTube video, because of compression and everything else, you're not going to see a lot of difference. But when you look at it in Lightroom and you look it up close, you will see a difference between M and TL lenses. Not a lot. They're all very good, but you're going to see a little bit of difference. But I found when it comes to focusing, I don't know if it's just the way that adapting, maybe it's user error, but I just felt like I was really nailing the focus when I really wanted to nail it. So I didn't spend a lot of time with the 50 f2. Actually went back to the 23 and the 35 for the most part, because I really just enjoyed using those lenses and felt more confident using it to nail focus down, especially with the autofocus. Let's talk about overall about this camera. This is a very solid camera in the Leica lineup. It's a much smaller camera than the M. Build quality is not as good as the M. I feel this textured, I don't know if it's leather, if it's faux leather. I feel it could be a little bit, had more tactile feel to it. There is a grip you can get in the street kit, and you can buy it separately, that I think gives the CL a much more usable hold. The silver color in this is beautiful. I would actually arguably get the silver over the black because the silver adds a little bit more class to it, I feel. That's just personal opinion, by the way. Image quality is good. You know, out of the Leica lineup, and I've shot with all the Leica cameras now, I can safely say. Like I mentioned earlier, you're gonna be hard pressed compared to an M to see much of a difference unless you go into a lower light situation, or unless you know, use different lenses. It's impressive. 24 megapixels is a sweet spot for a lot of cameras out there. I think it's great for social media. You got decent dynamic range. It's not going to blow you away. I don't think you're gonna get 14, 15 stops like you can on other cameras, but you know, the colors of the Leica camera as a whole, do that Maestro 2 processor really give it a nice feel. So you really don't want to play with the images that much, and even if you do, you've got some room to play with. Yeah, I liked it. I liked it a lot. I will say that its biggest competitor in the Leica lineup will be the Q. What the Q has going for it, of course, is a full frame 24 megapixel sensor, compact camera, EVF, better specs, but one lens only. The CL, you can adapt lenses. And that's where the CL's strength comes into play. Compared to the TL2, they're roughly the same camera. I mean, I've seen other reviews where they're slamming the TL2 and they're praising the CL. I mean, it's pretty much the same camera inside. Ergonomics are different, menu system is different. One has an EVF, one doesn't, but it's the same camera. Image quality is the same. So, yeah, I'll leave that right there. But yeah, I would say that this will be the Leica for a lot of people out there. Price point, it's not going to be the cheapest APS-C 24 megapixel sensor camera out there in the market. But with any Leica, you're not looking at dollars in specs. If you are, Leica will lose a lot of the times. What you're looking at is build quality, history, the way colors are processed, the lenses. Yeah, it's a good camera. I mean, I'll recommend it. You see, if someone tells me what Leica camera to get, I don't have the money for an M, I'll say look at the CL. Anyway, those are my thoughts on the CL. I'm a fan. I'm a fan of the CL. But leave me your comments below. Tell me what you think. If you own the camera, if you want to buy the camera, if you use it and you didn't like it, tell me. I want to hear from you. Leave it in the comment section below. Don't forget to subscribe to us on YouTube. We love subscribers on YouTube. We try to put out great content for you every single video. We try to be better on what we can do every day. And any constructive feedback from you, we appreciate it. Follow us on Facebook. And until the next one, take care. Hey guys, hope you enjoyed the review on the Leica CL. Now there has been an update on my experience with it. As you saw in the video, I was having some problems with the Leica M Summicron lens connected to the CL in terms of focusing. Now anyway, I did tell Leica Singapore about this. They tested the lens. They found some focusing issues with the lens and they have now sent it back to Germany to get it calibrated and fixed. So guys, if you have M lenses, all should work fine with the CL. Anyway, just want to give you that update. Talk to you soon. Take care.